I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That's what a bank robber says. A bank robber says, I'm an honest person. Why would I ever rob a bank? I have money. I have a job. A truth teller says, no, I didn't rob the bank. No. All this convincing behavior and not a no and denial. This is obviously a liar, and I don't know this person, but as...
In addition to being a loss on the court, Caitlin Clark's expulsion from the WNBA playoffs rocked the league to its foundation. Megyn Kelly was quick to criticize the WNBA, pointing out that the league had more serious issues. Her scathing criticism concentrated on the league's poor handling of its biggest new star, but the problems extend much beyond that. Could it be that the WNBA is dealing with internal politics, racial tensions, and a total inability to take use of its opportunities? You won't want to miss this, so stay tuned as we analyze what went wrong, how the WNBA is losing viewers, and why the league may be on the verge of a disaster.
An incredible star. She's totally revitalized interest. Vitalized interest in the WNBA in a way it never was before. And yet, since she's joined the league as a rookie, she's been abused.
Let's begin by dissecting exactly what Megyn Kelly said. Kelly has never been one to keep back her thoughts, and this is evident in her assessment of the NBA's handling of Caitlin Clark. She brought up a persistent problem in the league, pointing out that opponents have been targeting Clark with violent physical play that frequently goes unpunished during a match against the Connecticut Sun. Carrington's alleged eye poke incident, in which Clark was left with a black eye, represented a bigger issue. Kelly emphasized how this foul went uncalled, casting doubt on the WNBA's officiating's impartiality and consistency. According to Kelly, the issue wasn't just rough play. Rather, Clark's opponent appeared emboldened by the absence of repercussions. Some others thought Clark, a white rookie star in a mostly black league, wasn't deserving of the attention she was receiving since she was an outsider. According to Kelly, racial tensions were influencing Clark's treatment, with some players harboring animosity toward her as a rising star. Although Clark's talent was evident, it appeared that some individuals didn't like having her in the league.
Pack here, but really it comes down to one main thing to me. That looked intentional, right? Typically when somebody does get hit in the face or you're trying to block something, you don't put your fingers down like that. Your hand swipes and maybe your hand makes contact with their
Right.
face. You can't revitalize something that was never vitalized, but the WNBA has totally failed, whether it's not putting on the Olympic team.
Given how drastically Clark changed the WNBA during her debut season, let's discuss her actual influence on the league. Caitlin Clark was a game changer, not simply another talented player. And her arrival had an instant impact on fan interaction and viewership. Prior to Clark, WNBA games struggled to attract a national audience. The league's fan base was relatively niche, and it was rare for a game to draw significant numbers of viewers. But when Clark entered the league, everything changed. Suddenly, millions of people were tuning in to watch her play. She averaged 30 points per game, broke records, and brought an entirely new audience to the WNBA. Her games were drawing in over 1.8 million viewers, while other games struggled to reach half that. She wasn't just another athlete. She was a cultural phenomenon. For a while, it seemed like Clark's presence was single-handedly propping up the WNBA's ratings. Fans who had never cared about women's basketball before were suddenly glued to their screens, eager to see what she would do next. This wasn't just about her talent, though. Clark had a magnetic personality, and she carried herself with a charisma that made people want to root for her. She brought a level of excitement to the game that had been sorely lacking in the league for years. But as Kelly pointed out, the WNBA didn't seem to know what to do with her. Instead of embracing Clark as the new face of the league, they appeared hesitant. Clark was the star the WNBA desperately needed, but for some reason the league didn't fully promote her. Kelly's annoyance with this was evident. Why wasn't Clark featured prominently in every WNBA advertisement campaign? Why wasn't she being promoted similarly to LeBron James or Steph Curry in the NBA? The way the NBA handled Caitlin Clark was nothing short of a catastrophe, and the lack of marketing surrounding Clark was not just a lost chance, it was a monumental failure. This is where we need to be extremely critical of the league's strategy. It's almost as if the league didn't realize what they had, and the numbers support it. CL had all the makings of a superstar. She was breaking records, attracting enormous viewership, and putting up incredible numbers. Why wasn't the league taking advantage of this? Where were the sponsorship deals and commercials with Clark? Why wasn't her face featured on every billboard and advertising campaign promoting the WNBA, even though Clark's games were drawing larger crowds than many NBA games? She wasn't given the recognition she deserved, and the issue goes beyond a lack of promotion. Additionally, the WNBA was unable to develop interesting plots around Clark. The NBA is an expert at this. Just take a look at how they highlight rivalries and player stories. They know that sports fans are interested in the backstories of games as much as the actual action, whether it's the drama surrounding Kevin Durant's team changes or the rivalry between LeBron James and Steph Curry. The NBA is adept at keeping fans interested by showcasing individuals rather than simply teams.
And the WNBA games, televised games with Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever averaged 1.18 million viewers compared to 394,000 for all other games. There were a record 22 games that averaged over 1 million viewers, 19 of which involved Caitlin. So, I mean, you'd think they'd be saying thank you. They're not saying thank you.
Yeah.
However, it appeared like the WNBA completely missed this. Caitlin Clark may have been the focal point of these stories. Her ascent to fame was a tale in and of itself, and the league could have developed rivalries between her and other elite players like A.A. Wilson or Breanna Stewart to build drama, suspense, and excitement around her games. Instead, they relied on Clark's natural talent to carry the league without making the effort to develop a closer bond between Clark and the fans. This had major repercussions for the league after her team, the Indiana Fever, was eliminated from the playoffs, and the games that had been attracting millions of viewers suddenly dropped to barely reaching 500,000. It revealed how reliant the league had become on Clark's star power, and without her, the league's ratings plummeted and the once full arenas were now half empty. The WNBA has struggled for years to establish a stable of marketable stars, and part of the reason for this is that the league has frequently placed all its eggs in one basket in the hopes that one player will be able to carry the league on their shoulders. This is not a sustainable strategy, and Clark's removal made clear how vulnerable the WNBA is when it comes to this issue. To be fair, it's not that the WNBA lacks players with talent, such as A.A. Wilson athletes Breanna Stewart and Kelsey Plum are exceptionally talented and deserving of praise, but the league hasn't done enough to highlight them and create engaging stories about them. Instead, they concentrated all of their attention on a small number of stars, putting the league as a whole in the background. When one of those stars is ousted from the playoffs, the league finds it difficult to draw in new viewers. Megyn Kelly's critique of the WNBA focused on the league's inability to develop a large and enduring fan base, not merely Caitlin Clark. In sharp contrast to other professional sports leagues that have succeeded in developing large and varied fan bases by promoting a number of stars and crafting captivating stories, the WNBA still feels like it is in its infancy and depends on a small number of well-known players to stay afloat after more than 20 years in business. In addition, there is the problem of internal politics. Kelly wasn't afraid to bring up the fact that Caitlin Clark's race probably had an impact on how the league and the players' organization treated her. In a league that was dominated by Black people, Clark, a white lady, was viewed as an outsider who didn't merit the attention she was receiving. The WNBA is undoubtedly a league that is closely tied to social justice issues, and for good reason. The players have been at the forefront of movements like Black Lives Matter, and the league has done a lot to promote equality and inclusion. However, Kelly contended that this focus on social justice sometimes comes at the expense of fairness and objectivity on the court. She noted that Clark, despite being the league's biggest draw, wasn't being promoted or protected in the same way as other players. This tension wasn't limited to the players either. While it's crucial for any sports league to take a stance on social concerns, this begs the crucial question of whether the WNBA is overly preoccupied with politics and underinvested in the game itself. There is a thin line separating endorsing a cause from permitting it to compromise the game's fairness. Kelly's criticism raises the possibility that the WNBA may have gone too far in favoring some players and stories over others for reasons unrelated to basketball. Where does the WNBA go from here? The League is at a turning point, and the choices they make in the upcoming years will either determine whether they can grow further or fade into obscurity. To start, they must address the concerns Megyn Kelly brought up, especially with regard to how they manage their best players. The WNBA must develop a more sustainable and equitable paradigm, for it is hazardous to rely solely on individual stars like Caitlin Clark for success. Instead, the league should do more to promote its other players. This entails spending money on advertising initiatives, constructing gripping stories, and making sure every participant gets an opportunity to shine. It also entails resolving the officiating problems that have dogged the league and guaranteeing that every player receives equitable treatment on the court. The WNBA must also resolve the conflict between its duty to the game and its commitment to social justice. Even though it's critical that the league keeps funding worthwhile causes, they must prevent internal politics from undermining the game's fairness and integrity if players believe they are being treated differently because of their political beliefs or race. The WNBA's credibility is finally at stake. In order to continue expanding its fan base, the league must adopt modern marketing strategies. They can no longer rely on traditional forms of advertising. Instead, they must find innovative ways to reach a larger audience through fan engagement initiatives and creative social media viral content. What do you think? Has the WNBA failed with Caitlin Clark? Can they move past the fallout? Is Megyn Kelly's criticism too harsh? If you enjoyed this breakdown, please remember to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more sports insights. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.